Good afternoon, everyone out there in our Cats Chat world. We're so thankful to be back with the next episode of our podcast. Of course, we've got the game going on right now. We get to watch a friend of ours go 4 for 4 from the 3-point line as the finishing minutes happens here, or even seconds. It's been fun to watch as we get ready for this episode. Of course, might have been why we're a little bit later than our 8:35, just kind of celebrating a little bit on the inside. You'll never leave Harlan County alive. We know how that goes, Mark. You doing okay today?
Doing pretty good, man. You?
Doing great. We got a long episode, guys. We're just going to go ahead and throw this out here. It's going to be, hopefully everything works well. Our guests we'll be introducing in a second, but we had to do a pre-record of this on Monday, so we will be in different clothes for that interview. It's going to be a lot of information, a lot of mountain sports, a lot of college as well, and up at the cities, up in Lexington, everything. So sit back and enjoy. But before we get into it, we want to say congratulations to Kentucky, of course, on their win already, and Johnny coming in with our comments on YouTube. That's pretty nice. We appreciate that.
Love Johnny.
I
didn't see us go live on Facebook either.
It didn't go live on Facebook. Well, once we get it going, I'll try to see if there's anything that's messed up on it. Because in the
top, I noticed it's got a.
I'm sorry, I don't have us on the Facebook. Let me remove it from my page and put it on our Facebook. But Mark, I know you wanted to reach out or make a statement.
Our thoughts and prayers out to the Stoops family and the loss of Coach Stoops' mother. We know what that's like to go through it. It's not Absolutely. An easy thing. You know, he's talking about, he spoke about his mom being the glue that held them together, and it just, so our thoughts and prayers are out to them. And, I don't care what fans think right now. Like, we don't know, like, I didn't even know, like, she'd been sick or anything of that nature. I don't know how long she's been sick or anything, right. But it's definitely going to take your focus a little bit away from things. So thoughts and prayers out to them, man. It's never easy to deal with any kind of loss, let alone losing your mom. So
yes,
thoughts and prayers for all of them and his brothers and the rest of the family. So,
of course, Johnny's saying that we are on Facebook now, so that's great. Yeah, I couldn't imagine. It was devastating, Mark, for you and I, of course, and our family as we lost our mom a couple years ago. I just couldn't imagine losing a loved one that close. That's so much of a bond for us, and be on a national stage playing or coaching and doing all this stuff, and that magnifies this even more for him. So definitely condolence for him, as even Paul says. Thoughts and prayers for him as well.
There's been several other people just recently that have lost their mother. I think of Sherry Lewis losing her mom, and the Burkhart family and the loss of Heather. Just prayers for all those folks. It's not an easy time.
Oh, absolutely.
But I do want to transition for just a second. This Kentucky game just wrapped up. I know it's an exhibition game. A lot of people thought we would come out struggling. They really did, because we've seen that. We've had a letdown in the past against teams that we were supposed to beat really easily. At halftime, we were up 60-24. We finished this game winning 123-52. At one point, I heard him say we were 49% from the three-point line. At that time, we were 19 of 39. Now, after that, I saw us hit 2 more out of 3, but I think Paul's saying we finished 50% from 3. I knew we had to be flirting with it because I saw us hit 2 out of 3 more, but I didn't get to watch the whole final because we were coming on live. But seeing Trent go 4 for 4, man, right there down that little stretch. There were 11 points though scored in a row just between him and Perry. Just seeing the Kentucky boys out there doing things, man. I don't know, it excites me. And you get a team that can shoot the ball like this and that buys into defense like they have. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Are you going to have off nights? You are.
Right.
But man, I think there's a little hope going around.
It's going to be fun because, again, this episode's long once we get to the recording, but I just want to say, while we were watching this, me and Mark ourselves, we were talking. I said, Mark, last year we were talking about how fast our team played and how quick we could put up points, and that's why the other team were scoring so many points against us too. We just put up over 120 points and only allowed less than 60. Like, my fault. Shouldn't have been saying it last year. Should have still been saying the defense should have been playing something last year because we just proved it. I felt like Kentucky Westland, which is a smaller school. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm not saying they're good. I'm just saying it's a smaller division, which has given Kentucky troubles in the past. I felt like they were totally off sync with their offense, and it could be new to them, first season game for them as well as exhibition. But Kentucky was really hitting some of the gaps, causing some confusion on that, and I think that's really nice to see on there.
And, Christian even saying this team has such a high ceiling after just seeing how fast we play and how great we can shoot. They shared the ball really well, too, which is what I love to see. I know there at one point they gave a stat. There were 29 assists out of 44 shots.
Oh, that's really nice.
Only 5 turnovers at that point. And I mean, and I got tickled because Cameron Mills is like, I'm trying to do fast math here. It's like a 5 or 6 to 1 turnover, assist to turnover ratio. But I mean, and at that point, they only had 7 players in double figures, and then Trent hit another 3. So that made 8 players in double figures. Right. I mean, there are a lot of offensive weapons on this team, man.
Yes.
And a lot of pieces. And I think Pope's getting to see that he can move different pieces in at different times and alleviate some of the pressure off of one. You got one guy not hitting, you got another piece you can plug in. You know what I mean? Like it's just because everybody's going to have an off night, but there's not a great chance of everyone on the team having a bad shooting. You know what I mean? Like if you got that many shooters, like I even saw the big men popping out and hitting threes.
Yep. With confidence too. Like they didn't care to shoot. I was like, oh my goodness.
Jackson Robinson finished with 19 points and 3 rebounds.
Yeah. Ethan talking about here how defense turned into offense by Lamont. I mean, like pressure on the wing.
He was known for his defensive prowess. That's one thing he was known for. And what's even greater for me, I'm looking here at the screen right now, and I just saw Dondi and Stacy and Judy Noah. I just saw Trent's family on the screen. I love it, man.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, we do have more fans than just here in Harlan County. They may not know who the Dondi is and all that.
Well, Dondi is Trent's dad. Yeah, I mean, I talked with him. Like, it's just, I don't know. I knew there were a lot of people from Harlan that were up there tonight, and we may get a chance, possibly.
Fingers crossed.
We may get a chance to go up Tuesday.
Yes, as media credentials. So we'll see how it could go. But, guys, with that being said, we will be off of the screen. I'm going to bring up the video. Hopefully it don't lag or anything. It's a long video. It's about an hour and a half, but it's full of great information.
And we can still bring up comments.
We can still bring up comments. I just hope it don't lag or anything. So bear with us. We're going to see how this go.
Real quick, I also want to mention Golden Flame Wings, guys. We got to give them props. We're teaming up with Golden Flame Wings. They're going to be our first big sponsor for a whole year. So out of Lexington. Okay. So
you didn't tell me that was official. So we good there?
He told me we were good. He said it sounded like a good deal.
Yes.
For what you asked. And he thought that was a good deal. So he said, I think that sounds great. And so, I mean, I want to go ahead and give him a shout out. We don't have an ad created yet. We're hoping to maybe do a little NIL work with some folks and maybe get some stuff done. But hopefully big things are on the horizon. That's what we're getting at. I'm pumped. Like Michael's kind of getting me into this now. Like for the longest time, I'm not going to lie, I was just like, oh man, don't worry, Jared. You do get to hear us complain a little bit about football.
A little bit.
We're going to talk. We talk a little bit about everything with Mr. Milam here in just a few moments.
Yes.
But I got to quit talking so we can bring that on.
Yes. So guys, we will bring up comments. Obviously, we won't be able to address them live with us because I think you're actually going to enjoy this. You probably put some laughs on there and just listen to some of the conversation. I will say this. I won't say spoiler, but a cliffhanger. There is some knowledge dropped in this conversation when we talk about Kentucky football that I'm not for sure he meant to say. And he caught himself during the conversation and said, well, I don't know if that's known. So keep your ears out. Be listening for that because I felt like we are the only ones that know that in the non-media media. So with that being said, Mark, let's get out of here of our screen here and let's play this video. All right, guys. During this time now, obviously we are pre-recording this. Probably looking a lot handsomer what you're watching on Wednesday, but it comes with the progress behind the camera. But we're so thankful for having this guest on here. I'm almost geeking out over it because I grew up watching this guy talk on TV. But anyways, we'll get to that when he gets on here. Mark, I'll let you do the intro and I'll get the camera ready for us.
Ladies and gentlemen, I remember him from WYMT Sports back in the day, but he's now with WKYT Sports. It's Mr. Brian Milam joining us here this evening. How you doing, Mr. Milam?
I'm doing great, gentlemen. How are you guys?
Doing pretty
Doing
good.
wonderful. Honestly, I'm so glad I got to talk with you before we actually did this because seriously, when I was telling Mark that Brian's coming on here, I'm like, man, this is awesome. This dude interviewed us, like this, the first time a camera was in my face, this guy was it. And honestly, really geeking out a little bit. So thank you for taking the time to join us. We're thankful for that. Tell us a little bit about you. Like what got you into doing what you do?
Well, my dad was a high school teacher and coach. And I went to college, went to Morehead State, played baseball there, and thought, I want to be a teacher and a coach, following the footsteps. I'm 50 years old now, so that means I've been retired or close to retirement. Instead, I went into TV, and I wasn't, and I'm nowhere near retirement. So, but I got to college, and it's like, well, what do you do? What are you good at? Well, I can talk, and I know sports, and I've been blessed with a good memory. So let's try that. Well, here we are 26 years later. And when I got to YMT, it's funny, we always talk about hitting the lottery. We've all said that, man, if I won the lottery, I'd do this, I'd do that. Sometimes we hit the lottery and we don't even know it. And, whether it's with a girlfriend, the family, a wife, a job, whatever it is. Tony Turner, the late, great Tony Turner, man, I tell you what, I used to cry when I mention his name. Now I just smile and nod and whatnot. He was in need of a reporter, but he needed a male reporter. We had plenty of females at YMT, so we had to balance the books a little bit. And this was the days before internet. And thankfully, a young lady, I was working alongside at Morehead State in the TV department. She sprints up the stairs and says, "You got to go. You got to put in the tape." She's out of breath. And I was like, "Beth, calm down. What is wrong? No, slow down." She goes, "You got to put in a tape right now. It's going to close, blah, blah, blah." This is in the fall, late fall of 96.
Okay.
So I go, and I was dating a girl from Knott County at the time. So I knew of YMT.
Gotcha.
Not that much, but enough of it to be dangerous. So I take a tape, and unbeknownst to me, 14 people applied for the job. Again, he needed a male anchor, male reporter. 13 women and one guy applied for the job. Who's the guy?
Hey.
So I won the lottery without even knowing I was playing the lottery. And fast forward 26 years later, and here we are.
That's awesome because the fact that you took a chance on yourself, really, and it was just meant to be for you on there with no other male that applied for it. I'll be honest with you, I've probably filled out a WYMT application for sports at least 3 times in my lifetime, but never sent it through because I don't even have a background in it, You
don't have.
So
Tony Turner never went to college. He did not have one college credit to his resume. He was a self-taught man. Graduated from high school there in Harlan County and did the radio at WHLN, I believe it was, and absorbed everything and became highly intellectual and certainly one of the main contributors to the success of media coverage in Eastern Kentucky.
Yes, absolutely. We can make an episode just about what all he's done for this area, Harlan County, Eastern Kentucky, the whole 9 yards of that.
I mean, I remember stories from Mom because she went to school with Tony.
Yeah.
Just what a great guy he was, how down to earth he was, and I know he's missed.
Oh, there have been two times in my life. The first was Bear Bryant when he died in 1983. And you see video or film back then, even people pulling off the side of the road, getting out of their car and standing out of respect. I saw video of that, and on Tony's trip to the cemetery, I saw it again, and I thought, wow, it's even greater than any of us could have ever imagined. And that was 21, 22 years ago now. And it's still the only time I've ever seen people. Yeah, we see people pull off, stop. Mm-hmm. They don't get out of their cars, bow their head, and as one of the greats passes by for the final time.
Yeah, and it's kind of. I'm going to go ahead and transition because I don't know how else we could really go with this because we're here for you. And, of course, no disrespect towards Mr. Turner and everything that he's done because, like, I remember actually the day how Air House, at least, you know, the effect of it and just the shock and everything. But I wanted to talk with you about WYMT and what was one of your greatest memories from there?
We'd be here all night and throughout the weekend and into next year probably. If you gave me a county, I can give you a memory. If you give me a school, I can give you a memory. Things of that nature, because there's no way. I was there 12 and a half years. There is no way to encompass 12 and a half years in one sentence because it's baseball, it's softball, it's football, it's basketball, it's things in between. Certainly the people make any job tolerable. And that's what I love so much about Eastern Kentucky. They welcomed me in, an outsider, and taught me things. Now my job was to shut up and listen and to absorb the lessons being taught. And whether it's from Tots or Putney or Lynch or, you know, Benham, all the way up to Age's Bottom, we're all over the place. And I actually visited all those places one time or another. But
you tell you look at a map for that too.
But it's just incredible. You know, when you talk about Harlan County, I remember the first time going to Everts and they said, hey, go to Harlan, you see the stoplight, Route 38, take a left, about 7 miles on your left will be the football field. Oh, okay. Go a little past that, the high school, the gym will be there.
Yeah.
Just so many things from Cumberland to Kaywood to Everts and Harlan Green. Obviously, I have to distinguish with people when they say, "I'm from Harlan." Are you Harlan Green or are you Harlan Black? You know.
Of course, Mark teaches at the Harlan Black, just so you know. So he's a math teacher. He's a freshman teacher.
Beautiful.
But, so I understand you probably can't pinpoint any moments or anything, but let me ask you it this way then possibly. Is there any athlete that you ever filmed during highlights or whatnot or interview and just thought, wow, this person is going to be definitely the leader of this team or this an outstanding player that went on, you know, because we've got Eddie Creech of Cumberland, basically. We've got the Mike Jones and everyone from Harlan. You know, there's so many different Kaywood players. There's people from, I think even Justice from over in Shelby Valley, I think it was. So, I mean, there's so many of these other athletes that stood out and went on to play, you know, college basketball, college football, and even now. Is there anyone that you ever sat down and talked to who's like, wow, this guy's already well ahead of his game that really just stuck out to you during this time?
Well, you mentioned Elisha Justice, 2010 Mr. Basketball winner, Shelby Valley. They beat Ballard in the state championship game. You saw the great thing about him, he graduated in 2010. 8 years earlier, YMT did a story on an AAU basketball team called the East Kentucky Lightning. You know, they're 8 years old, 9 years old, whatever. Well, right. The next thing you know, they're winning a state championship. And it was great to follow him from his elementary days into middle school. And you keep hearing about, hey, this Ashley Hatfield kid is going to be pretty darn good too. Okay. Well, who else? You know, and then all of a sudden they win it as he's that entire freshman class. They win. I was like, oh my gosh, we're in the midst of a new dynasty. When you look at the 15th region, Pikeville had the dynasty. Inez had the first dynasty in the 15th region, is what we know the 15th region now. And then Pikeville had a big run. And then Sheldon Clark, Inez turned into Sheldon Clark on the girls' side. And then Virgie basketball, Paintsville basketball. You know, you had these runs of teams. And then here comes Shelby Valley and Elisha Justice. And one thing I remember about Elisha is when he committed to Louisville and then got his Mr. Basketball award. You talk about the room behind me. he was in front of a room like this, only it was all of his personal stuff of everything he had done. I thought, oh my gosh, this kid's something. But, he's gone on to Pikeville High School and helped lead the Panthers to the Sweet 16 a couple of times. You mentioned, Eddie Creech. I remember Eddie playing basketball, and we talked about that championship run the Redskins had to the Sweet 16. And that ill-advised pass from Matt Haynes, who I hope, oh my God, he killed me with that thing. And, and then Eddie, as soon as the ball rattles in and out, Eddie turns around with his hands up, and I thought, oh my gosh, and from Kaywood, Trevor Muncie was such a dead-eye shooter, and Paul Harold and the Bailey kid. And that was a fun team to watch. Harlan Green, I didn't see Michael, but I covered Kyle.
Uh-huh.
And he was a junior and senior. Boo Fields and Matt Anderson and Gary Greer, who was I affectionately called him the garbage man of the 13th region, because he did nothing flashy, but the sucker would average about 12 points, 9 rebounds, 13 points, 8.5 rebounds. Gosh, I could go on and on, guys, about those. But, Justin Haddix, he's the football coach at Boyle County right now, was coach at Corbin, took the Red Hounds to 2 state championship games. I knew if he ever got into coaching, he'd be special. And sure enough, he's won 4 in a row at Boyle, and he's already been in 6 championship games, and he graduated high school in 2003. So he's 39 years old. He's already had 6 championship game appearances.
That's crazy.
I mean, that gum. If he goes as long as Dudley Hilton, he may have 20.
They've got a special program up there, that's for sure.
It's people in this day and age, you see a juggernaut, you see a dynasty, and they're like, oh, they got to be doing this or they got to be doing that. Boys, it is straight blood and guts, and a lot of, to quote George H.W. Bush, a lot of strategery. They do well. They do well with everything they do, and it's fun to watch, because I saw them preseason. I thought, these guys, they're okay, and then they go beat the number 9 team in the country in Cleveland, and then they wipe the board with everybody else. I mean, he is on top of his game currently as a coach, and just so many guys that I come across, man. We'd be here till next year probably.
Well, now that, of course, you've been with WKYT for probably
14 years.
I was going to say 15 years, somewhere around there. Let me ask you, I'm just going to do it this way. Sure. As far as sports, how are they differ from here in the Eastern Kentucky to more of a central or a city area like this?
Well, the one thing, I've been here 14 years. So when I first got here, Lexington Catholic and Tate's Creek had a pretty healthy rivalry. And when I showed up to one of the games at Tate's Creek, I thought, okay, this is what Eastern Kentucky looked like a little bit. This is the way it's supposed to be. As my travels or my time has taken now, fast forward to 14 years, I have to go to a place like Woodford County for football. They pack Community Stadium at Versailles. I have to go to Scott County. I've got to go to Clark County, Madison Central. Lexington, as we know, if you put team for team, boys and girls, we know on the athletic scale which side is going to win more times than not. But the crowd support, the family support in terms of going to the games, the community support. If you live on the north side, you go to Bryan Station. Bryan Station, they turn out for their guys and gals. Really impressed with what they do. But it's not consistent. You go to LCA, they pour out pretty well. You go to Dunbar for Dunbar Lafayette, what used to be just a bloodbath, you get a couple hundred. You put that rivalry in Eastern Kentucky, you go put Harlan Green against Harlan Black. Like I saw a couple of Marches ago when I went to the last week of the regular season. I thought, this is what I'm missing. You go put Paintsville Johnson Central, Belfry Pikeville, Perry Central Hazard, Knox Central Corbin, then you get North and South Laurel. That's the way it's supposed to be. But up here, it's not. You have to show them something first, and then, hey, we'll show up if the weather's okay. Well, as we know, in the mountains, you show up, by God, because that's your mountain birthright. You better show up.
That's right. We got hot dogs before the game anyways in the parking lot, so just come on out.
That's right.
What about traveling? Because that's one thing I've always thought, like, even here in Harlan County, if it's an away game, an hour or so, because there's so many different where we're consolidating and whatnot, like the fans don't seem to be going to these away games anymore as much as when I was in high school. That's been 20-year reunion coming up next weekend, but we won't talk about that. Do you kind of feel that too?
When you talk about away games, again, I love to go to a place which last name is county, or it's a directional, such as Madison Central, Madison Southern. You go to a place like that, you go to Clark County, Montgomery County game, I don't care if they both haven't won a game in a decade and they've tied each other 9 straight years. You're going to get one heck of a crowd. It's just that, the athletes are here. You have to go where the jobs are, and I get that. But so many teams up here also just rely strictly on their athleticism. Not nearly as disciplined as the mountain kids, because the mountain kids, let's be honest again, we have to be honest with ourselves. If I see a young man down the street here who's 6'5" and has a 42-inch vertical, and there's a young man in the mountains who's 5'10", who's got a 28-inch vertical, more than likely who's going to win on straight athleticism. But the mountain kid has a little intestinal fortitude. He's got some guts. He's got some heart. Maybe that the city kid doesn't have. And he's may have some more discipline. A lot of it deals with upbringing and how you treat your coaches and what your coaches can do for you too. But it's interesting to see when a mountain team plays a city team in the Sweet 16, for instance. Breathitt County got up on Douglas a couple of years ago, I think, or Mayo. It's like, it's 12-5, timeout Mayo. Everybody's going nuts. Next thing you know, it's 35-18. It's like, things can change here pretty fast. That's why I miss the mountains. I like to come back home, so to speak, to my home, because things slow down a little bit.
Yes. Well, speaking of that, Harlan County, and of course, we cover all of Kentucky, really, but, we are in Harlan County, so we know most of it. When they're running Rupp Arena this past March, I felt like the games I went to, Harlan had probably, let's just say they had more supporters than a lot of other teams.
It felt like, for me, when I was 14 years old, I got to go to Freedom Hall, being from Louisville. And
we'll forgive you on
that. Well, I can't help where I was born, boys. But in 1988, March of 88, PRP, the team everybody in Louisville hated unless you were on Greenwood Road, played Clay County. And it was the first time I ever got to see the gentleman right here, Bobby Keith. First time I ever got to see him and his teams in person. Manchester all but sold out Freedom Hall. I mean, by themselves. And I thought, my gosh, this is the way it's supposed to be. Same thing happened in 2010. All of Pike County and the Big Sandy showed up for Shelby Valley. A lot of the same way Paintsville in the mid to late 90s. And then when Harlan County, they win the first one, you're like, okay, all right, we're on the board. Then they have that remarkable second round game, and Trent goes off for like 93 in the third quarter, whatever it was, And then you thought,
factual stats right there.
Yeah, it's all right, But then you realize, wait a minute, there's something special here. And they're playing a team out of Louisville that's still up and coming, not that good in terms of experience. They're still learning each other, and the Harlan County kids have played ball since they were in the womb. And I remember looking around. I was on the end of the bench, standing off the side, and a lot of people don't know my background being in the mountains. And I remember a guy looking turning to me, goes, what are you doing here? How do you know Harlan County? Okay, I said, you see the head coach over there? He wore number 5. He was left-handed. He was the point guard for the 99 and 2000 Green Dragons. I said, you see his assistant coach over here? He wore number 12. That was Gary Greer. He was this. And I started pointing out all these people. And I said, I spent 12 and a half years of the best years of my life there. I kind of know these people. But when I turned around with the bench to my right, I thought, my gosh, there's a lot of garnet and black in here. Mm-hmm. And this is pretty cool. And you got chills. You had to get chills by just being there. And it was, and what made the championship game even better, it was rural school against rural school. Yes, one's a 5A, one's a Class A, whatever. I don't care. You had Far East against Far West meeting in the middle, and it felt like old-time basketball in terms of the atmosphere. And nothing against Louisville, Lexington, Bowling Green, Warren Central, Northern Kentucky. When you get country on country, you got a dream.
It's special.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait. I've got a list right over here of the attendance figures at the Sweet 16 over the years, and come the 2000s, it started to drop. I would love to go back and look at my numbers for this past year and just to see what Lyon County and Harlan County did for that tournament alone, because you had star power, and also you had with Trent Noah, you had basically a visit back to Todd Tackett. Okay, you've got a kid who wants to come to Kentucky, but he's not been looked at Kentucky. You've got Trent Noah, who wants to come to Kentucky but doesn't get the phone call. Where does Todd Tackett go originally? Clemson. Where does Trent go? South Carolina. I mean, they're not too far apart.
Yeah.
Then you go through the state tournament, and you're thinking, man, this kid can go. Well, Todd got a UK invite and got the scholarship after the Sweet 16. Well, Trent did, so to speak, also once a certain man left Lexington, and another guy arrived. So there's so many similarities to the past, and that's one thing I love about the present. You can link the past to the present because everything is cyclical. Everything will repeat itself at some point.
I remember talking to my partner when we were calling those games, and we were sitting there for the pregame of the championship game, and I looked over at him and I said, buddy, I think we've peaked. I think we've reached the Mecca as high as we can go in high school basketball. And he was like, yeah, I think I agree. And I was like, I don't know where we go from here, but I mean, it was so much fun. Just the atmosphere in general.
It was deafening when both teams were being introduced and they shut the lights. And they put the spotlight on Harlan County. They put the spotlight on Lyon County. It just felt like every few years, and it may take a decade or more, the Sweet 16 reinvents itself. If you go back in time, Louisville schools started to dominate after the golden era of mountain basketball from 39 to 56, when you had Carr Creek winning. And you had Hazard winning, and Inez was winning, and Pikeville goes to the Final Four in 57. You have all of these great moments. Then there's this gap. And if it wasn't for Ashland in the early 60s, Larry Conley and Harold Sargent and all those guys, the mountains don't get represented as much. Breathitt County had a few nice seasons as well. Eastern Kentucky does not get represented as much late in the tournament. Well, then in 1976, Edmonson County pulls off the shocker of shockers, Bo Davenport. Little country school wins, beats Christian County in the finals. We were so close back then, 48 years ago, to going to a class system, which a lot of people are begging for today. Edmonson County saves the Sweet 16 as we know it is today. Then Male, Mayo had their run in 74, 75, and then you get Ballard in 77, Shelby County 78, Lafayette in 89 and 79, Owensboro in 80, Simon Kenton 81, Laurel County 82. You start to get these things rolling where it becomes more well-rounded and not just pockets of success. And maybe that's what Harlan County and Lyon County did for this tournament. They start to bring some success statewide and not just citywide within the Commonwealth. And, 83, it goes back to Henry Clay. But then you start marching on with all of these schools spread around the state. And I think with Lyon County winning or Harlan County, whomever would have won, it was great for basketball in the state. Yeah, kind of wish Harlan County had taken the title just privately. But if Lyon County, you didn't know any better, you think there's some good mountain boys there too.
Oh, absolutely. It was a wonderful atmosphere to be just for me with the fans, with my kids, to be able to watch that, because they know now the two of those players that they got to watch in Rupp Arena is where Kentucky plays, that will be representing Kentucky as well. And the fact that, for us here in Harlan County, my son's like, I want to play like Trent, well, you got to work at it, like he didn't just wake up and become great. Like, it can be done in this southeastern part of the whole state, of where coal runs and the atmosphere or the population has dwindled with coal being gone and all this stuff. But you can still matter in this town. You can have visions, you can have goals, because honestly, I don't know if you know this or not, but 2 days after, well, of course, when they came back home, the police, gave them escort, people out on the roads waving them in and everything. And they had a get together basically at the gymnasium a couple of days after. And the atmosphere afterwards, I've never seen anyone celebrate second place as much as Harlan County did for that. And, I won, played at Cumberland in 2004 was my senior year. Never really watched a lot of Harlan County games because it didn't feel like it was the Redskins. It's the Black Bear now. So I actually feel like this whole team really brought a lot of these unconsolidated schools together for this event. It's like, you know what? That they are still part of us. Oh, those kids came from Cumberland. Oh, he went to Ross Point. You got all these different schools over there, over from Everett's. And you're like, okay, they brought us more together than we really realized, I think, during this time. Because I've seen, the Josh Snelling from Everett's who, we battled against, I'm trying to think, Sean Ely from Kaywood as well, and all of us were under the roof representing Harlan County. It's like, you know what? Maybe it is a time before that. And what that probably nobody even thought that, 10, 15 years down the road from being consolidated, that it took this to really have a lot of the people jump into it, because these guys are, putting in a lot more effort than what we ever did. Trent from fifth grade was doing AAU trying to get there. We know, we see the work that Maddox has put into, like all these guys are learning these young kids' names. Like my son wanted autographs by these high school kids. I'm like, what are you doing that for? And then, I kind of step back and say, oh, my son was smarter than me. I wish I already had their autographs, because, these boys are going. Maddox is already committed to ETSU. I can't wait to follow his career. So these games, and I'm sure, with Lyon County winning it, like this was even 10 times more for them as far as some of these things that we don't even think about as far as the community.
I mean, Eddyville, the only thing people know Eddyville for is a prison. I mean, think about that.
Yeah.
What else you got over there? You got some lakes, go fishing. What else?
That's always nice.
You don't have a lot of stuff over there. So
right.
Great for the second region. It really is. I mean, when you think back, I mean, there's not many teams come out of the second region, not named University Heights or Christian County or Hopkinsville, that have had great success. And UHA won the title in 92. And Christian County won it in 2013 when they beat Rowan County at double overtime, I think. Mm-hmm. But there's just not been – Hoptown won it in 85. So you had that little pocket. But other than that, Union County had some good girls basketball teams. But, that's not the topic at the moment.
Well, listen, Brian, we're already 30 minutes, and I told you maybe 10 minutes. And we've not even really talked much about, like, Kentucky sports as far as the college level. So we'll try to maybe be quicker with this part of it.
I got all night, boys.
Hey, I did want to give both of you. I don't know if you know this, but Harlan County, for the first time ever this year, will actually be competing in the 2A state tournament as well.
Okay, because we're usually 5.
I had no clue, and apparently because of our numbers now, we're actually hosting the sectional at Harlan County. So
Okay.
they are having a rematch with Lyon County in a scrimmage on November 30th.
Oh, okay.
Zip Zone Classic.
A lot less star power.
That's what I said. It's going to be a lot.
It may be the start of a rivalry. A little
could be. I tell you what, if Harlan County has the ball in the last second and we're up, I guarantee someone's going to try to dunk it. I'm just throwing that out there. Just throwing that out there.
I can't blame the kid, though, man.
No, absolutely not. If I could have dunked it for the state championship last thing, man, listen, you celebrate any way you can. You deserve it. Let's just be honest. But
absolutely.
So let's go with Kentucky football a little bit, Brian. I want to pick your brain here.
Why? I'm kidding.
Listen to some of the questions I've asked him too.
So,
so frustrating.
I'm going to just be point blank with it. Is it time to move on from Vandergriff?
Next question.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I don't think so, because they do have a good little system. But the thing that drives me nuts, I know who Mark Stoops is. He is born in Youngstown, Ohio. Cardinal Mooney. We're going to bash your brains in. He goes to Iowa. When you go to Iowa and play college football, what do you think of? Do you think of 5 wide, spread you out, we're going to dance all the way down the field? No, we're going to play football. You hear the drums, and we're going to play football. And we're going to grind it. We're going to grind you. We're going to have a good defense. We're going to take our time. We are going to win. It may be ugly, but we're going to win. That's if I'm an Iowa guy, that's what I think. Mm-hmm. Mark Stoops is all of those things. But to attract the athletes you must attract these days, you've got to open it up. And I get that. But for whatever the reason, there has been a disconnect from, and I don't care, pick your offensive coordinator, pick it. If you want to go back to Neil Brown, if you want to go to Shannon Dawson, who, by the way, is at a top 5 program in the country right now. If you want to go to with Scangarello, you want to go to Eddie Grant, I don't care. There has just with the exception of the Citrus Bowl win, when thankfully Wan'Dale Robinson decided to come home for 1 year, there's been a disconnect with the offensive coordinators and what gets done. I have always said this about Eddie Grant. He did more with less than any of the OCs. He was the king of super glue, duct tape, and WD-40, because everything that he got, oh, wow, we get this quarterback. Well, he's hurt. Well, the backup's hurt. Who are we going with? Steven Johnson. Who? Who's this guy? He came from where? Never heard of him. Became a hero because of the way he played. Well, all the quarterbacks get hurt. We're putting Lynn Bowden where? At quarterback. Oh, Kentucky has done its best, with the exception of the first Will Levis season. Yep. Kentucky has done its best with a power run game, good, very good to excellent defense, and the majority of the time in the last 12 years, an average quarterback.
Or even a wide receiver at quarterback.
Yeah. You've had good receivers. You've had guys with big arms. But at the end of the day, let's say Mark Stoops calls it a career tomorrow. He's not, but let's say he did. What are you going to remember him for? Style of play is, boom, we're going to hit you in the mouth. We're going to bring a defense that is ready to go for 60 minutes. And you're not going to think about quarterbacks, except for Will Levis and 1 year. You're not going to think about great wide receivers, because Lynn Bowden became Randall Cobb.
Yep.
Hey, we got to go do this. You're going to think about great running backs, great for UK standards that set records, but you're not going to be able to really say, well, the quarterback won that game, this game, that game, that game. Brock Vandegrift's good. He's a good player, but he also has not really played up until this year. He is a 6-game starter, fellas. 7-game starter, whatever.
I've made that argument as well.
And Gavin Wimsatt, I like the kid a lot. He's a gamer. He's a baller. But when he gets in the game, 92% of the time, what's going to happen?
He's running the ball.
He's keeping it and running.
And he's told to do that.
Yep.
And not only is he running it, he's not handing it off. He's keeping it. So if I'm a D coordinator, and I am right over here on my 1991 Tecmo Bowl, I'm bringing the house. If I see him in, and it's short yardage, we're crashing 9 of the 11 guys. We'll take our chance if you want to try to pop one. The kid's got a good arm. Vandegrift has shown he is gutty and wants to take a hit, but he's got fluid on his knee. They drain that sucker a couple of times a week. That may not have been public, but it is now. And, he's a tough competitor. But there's just something wrong with – and I'm not blaming it on Hamden, and I'm not blaming it on Liam Cohen 2.0. I'm not blaming it on Scangarello. I'm not blaming it on Shannon Dawson or it's just like, golly, fellas, you want to do this, but at the end of the day, what wins? Power football. The same places Bill Curry recruited and said, and great journalists said, you cannot go to Pennsylvania. You cannot go to Ohio. You cannot go to Georgia. You cannot go to these places and get kids to come to Kentucky. Well, yeah, you can. It's all about relationships. But UK needs, in my opinion, they need to play power football, and they will succeed more.
And see, that's, I guess when I ask, is it time for Vandegrift not to be starting? I'm with exactly what you're saying. That's why, because if Gavin's in the backfield, okay, let's do the Wildcat with him. Like, we've been successful with this formation or something, or even put Barry Brown back there. Let's make him a quarterback. We've done this before. Like, I feel like we have so many different weapons on offense that, we're waiting for that quarterback to just be like picking them apart, pass here or there, because Key is great. Brown is great. Macklin is good. Dingle is even good as a tight end, a catch tight end. We have the weapons, but we're not able to utilize them as much as we should. So to me, to salvage this season, we got to beat Tennessee. We've got to compete with Texas, and we have to, of course, beat Louisville for us to be like, well, we didn't do great, but it's okay. And I don't see us doing it with the same offense style that we're doing. And I'm with you. I don't think Vandegrift is bad. I just feel like we don't need a passing quarterback, unfortunately. Our style, what we've always done is run the ball, and if we have to pass, then we're going to run the ball. And that's just been successful for Kentucky. So that's, I guess, where I'm coming at. My vent with that a little bit is,
UK is 3-4. And I think if you look at the rest of the schedule, if you say Auburn, that's a toss-up to me.
Yep.
We're
a 3-point favorite, I think.
Yeah, and Kentucky was a 2.5-point favorite against Florida?
Yes.
Got boat raced by 28. Stay hot, guys. Do you look at Tennessee as a win or a loss?
I mean, let's just be honest. Tennessee beats us quite a bit. I think it's going to be a loss.
Yeah, you look at Murray State, win or loss, that's a win.
That's a win.
Texas on the road. Sorry, probably not going to happen. So your season comes down to very possibly this weekend. Because if you lose, you have to win 3 games. So you're going to be Auburn, Murray, and Louisville. If you don't win this weekend, gentlemen, it is 100% basketball season. That's a fact.
Yeah. Yeah.
It may already be in some people's minds.
I think the thing that frustrates me the most is, we look at all the talent we have on the field, and it's more of a disappointment. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm not even really mad. I'm just disappointed because I feel like we should be I told somebody the other day, it's almost like we're a Jekyll and Hyde team. I don't know which team's going to show up. I feel like some games we come out and we are firing on all cylinders. I feel like we have a good flow. And then there's other games where I feel like, I don't know, it's like we can't stop a defensive line from breaking through.
Well, my frustration, and Brian, you may be able to piggyback on this a little bit, is in all teams that Mark Stoops has ever had, we've been very disciplined on penalties. I feel like, penalties has not been a thing that's really haunted us so much. Yeah, maybe one or two here or there. But I feel like this team, there's a lack of leadership that holds each other accountable as the players level, and some really dumb and untiming penalties that's cost us a lot of yardage, we'll say, for here, but cost us a lot of momentum as well too. Like Dane Key in the back of the head with the football right in front of a ref. That's, come on, guy, you don't do that. Our number one defensive lineman, Walker, jumping off sides when we actually got the fumble and could have sealed that deal. Like, you're not supposed to do that. You're the leader. Luckily, we did come back and were able to hold on, miss a field goal, and we won that game. But like some of these, just like, hey, you're a senior, or hey, you're the junior, you're the top tier guy on our team. You should be holding each other accountable by not doing this. And that's me from the outside, from all the way in Harlan County watching. I feel like Stoops don't have a disciplined team like he usually has, and there's a lack of leadership.
I won't say it's a lack of leadership because I'm not in the locker room, but
Right.
You can certainly say undisciplined.
Okay.
And that is not a Mark Stoops coach team. Could you imagine? Let's take Mark Stoops out of the mix for a minute. Could you imagine Nick Saban coaching a team with so much, what are you doing? No. Bobby Petrino in his prime. Could you imagine, what are you doing? The problem with UK is they have good depth. They do not have Alabama, Georgia, Texas style depth. Deion Walker is a big teddy bear. He is a wonderful young man. He is nice on the field. He's going to rip your head off and say, I'm sorry, I'm going to do it again here in 30 seconds. But it drives you crazy. If he kept screwing up, you're going to pull him out? You got behind him? No. You don't have the depth of some of these other schools. And that has been the problem. When Mark Stoops got to UK, he had nothing.
Yep.
He had nothing except Bud Dupree, and that's about it that he had waiting for him. And then he has to keep recruiting. It's taken him 12 years to get good depth. By UK standards, is very good. By the top tier, and I know people keep saying, my God, we're paying him $9 million a year. Yeah, you are. Or, well, the school is. But who else are you going to get right now?
That's a good point.
I'm serious.
Plus coming to Kentucky.
Kentucky.
It's different too.
Yeah, and Mark Stoops recruited Kentucky. Kentucky did not recruit Mark Stoops. He went after Kentucky. The same way Rich Brooks went after Kentucky. Kentucky, he was on because he and Mitch Barnhart have such a good, tight relationship. He's on the staff. Hey, Michael, we want you. Mark, we want you. Brian, we want you. Well, no. Well, golly, who are we going to get? Rich says, why not me? And then people want to, hang him after a couple of years because the 02 season, they go 4-8. Like, well, or the 03 season, they go 4-8 after going 7-5 in the 02 season with Gaimo. And then he said, just give me one more year and we'll win. Well, he went to 4 straight bowl games. And Joker. That's a tough.
I just get so – the one thing I get tired of hearing is I don't know if you ever look at social media, but you hear these fans fans yelling, fire the coaches, fire, and I'm just like, guys, like I don't think people understand everything in line. Like, it's like, who are you going to get?
Fire him. Okay, who's going to be your head? You take your staff that you've got right now at UK. Fine, fire Stoops. Who are you going to put in as the interim coach?
Big dog. He's probably leaving with Stoops.
Who is Mark Stoops' right-hand guy? You fire him, you fire me. Now who you got?
Yep. That's my biggest fear on that.
The landscape right now as well. You get rid of a coach, There go all your recruits. Everyone's going to jump in the transfer portal. It's a complete rebuild. It's not just a coach.
No, it's the coach. When you look at the grand scheme of things, how many coaches? Nick Saban is certainly one. Jimbo Fisher is not one. Kirby Smart is one. Dabo Sweeney at one time was.
Mm-hmm.
Who had his hand on every single pulse of the team. Mark Stoops is a defensive guy. What's the best part of this team spanning the last, with the exception of the Citrus Bowl team, the best part of this ball club has been defensively for the most part over the last 8 years since they started this bowl thing.
Straight defense.
And I mean, we had a lapse in Florida, no doubt. We gave up too many big chunk plays, but that's going to happen time to time.
That's going to happen. I love it when people are like, and I was one of them. I got mad at the 4th and goal play from like the 3, and you run it up the middle. I'm thinking, okay, what was that? You cannot beat. Have you seen number 21 for Florida?
He's ginormous.
I saw him 2 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever it was, when they came to Lexington, and it was weird. In his shadow, it was 12 degrees cooler than anywhere else on the stadium. It was amazing. That guy is a one large mammal. You're going to run at him? Come on. Yeah. Run around him. The 4th down play, when Brock has a little waggle and finds Caddis, that's what you got to be doing. Mm-hmm. You cannot man up on some of these heavyweight teams. Not from 3 yards out. You can't.
I agree.
Chris Rodriguez and Benny Snell ain't walking through that door, unfortunately. But the offense has got to figure out something, because when I watch other teams play Kentucky, and when I watch other teams, period, when they pass, how are these guys so wide open? When's the last time Kentucky had a wide receiver that wide open down the field?
Jackson against Louisville when he backpedaled into the end zone.
Yeah. Okay, one. What's the next?
That's been what? Yeah, probably 7-8 years.
It's just these guys are so wide open the other day. And then when you see the TV shot of Brad White and the kids, and they're going, well, what do you got? Well, who? It's like the Spider-Man thing.
Yeah.
Who's got who? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, when you complete 7 passes, Florida completed 8 passes for a total of 279 yards. I mean, that's like mind-boggling, as they used to say.
The other day when that game happened and UK gets stopped at the 2, and I jokingly said before it happened, Florida's going to go 98 yards and how many plays? That was kind of a joke. Well, I was like, okay, they got 30 here, 40 there. Wow. They scored, 4 plays? Well, it was 98 yards in 4 or 5 plays.
Yep.
That's not a team dialed in right there. I'm sorry.
No.
I don't care.
I want to go back just a little bit further in that, because, the series before it, I think we fumbled, and Florida, acted crazy, got the ball, ran to every camera there was, celebrating, which is what they do in sports now. I'm not dogging it. But then our series on defense, and I mentioned this to some of my buddies, when we got the interception, it was like, okay, we got it. Now let's go back to offense. It was like there was no team celebration, nothing. I'm like, this is really weird. Like there's almost an atmosphere that this team is just in this dark bubble. Like nobody ran out on the field, cheered, and like jumped around. No one with chains going around. No customized. Hey, we got this because it was a turnover. It was just like, all right, well, we didn't get scored on. Okay, let's go back out their offense, and that's when we got stuck on the 4th down too. It's just almost like we've lost the Kentucky on the front, as we talk about in basketball now, and it's almost like we just got so many L's going on for us that we just want to get through this season now. It's really depressing on that part.
I'll be honest, I don't mind the not showboating after like an interception or something, because I'm like, pretend like you've been here. Right. I mean,
I'm with you on that, but I felt like it wasn't even like the sidelines like, hey, great job. You're just like, all right, well, we're on offense. Let's go run some.
We're on offense.
Not offense again.
Let's just go punt it and then let the defense back out there again. It
And I
just didn't
still
look
don't know
like a
how
team.
Florida, they called that one a touchdown. The guy made it to the one, and they said they couldn't overturn it. And I was like,
Nobody signaled touchdown. The far line judge didn't. The guy on the near side didn't. I looked for the back. Well, the guys on the lines have it. Nobody signaled touchdown. I don't know where this came from.
Yeah. Everybody, I mean, I was listening to them on the radio, and they were even like, guys, I have no clue.
No, he was a yard short, a half a yard short. And then when they took, as I called it on Twitter, the beer goggle pylon camera, it was so fuzzy, you couldn't see anything. I don't know. And
I'm not,
here's
they could have punched it in next play, but I'm just saying.
Sure. And they could have fumbled the next play.
Yep.
And here's the thing that is dangerous, and this is a segue to a whole nother topic. When you have calls like that in the era we are in where legalized betting is going on, people are going to say, oh, he had money on the game.
Yep, because honestly, that the fourth down for Kentucky that was short, that dude, the line judge come running. There was no measurement, no nothing. He's just like, oh, no, he didn't get it. And I was like, man, that's close. Like, you can't already be calling that. Like, get the pile broken up. And I was like, does he got money on that game?
I mean, it's a legitimate question. And again, I just opened up a huge can for another topic some other time. But still, and especially with Pete Rose's passing a couple of weeks ago, it's something you got to think about. I mean, my gosh, how could you call that a touchdown? Because in a lot of ways, that felt like the turning point of the game for me.
Yep.
It killed the spirit. Mark Stoops was livid on the sidelines. And a PO'd Mark Stoops I like a pissed off Mark Stoops. Saying when he's that way, there are some players and coaches I think sometimes get better when they're mad. I think Mark Stoops gets better when he's mad sometimes. And he was mad then. And I think UK responded a little bit. But then all of a sudden, when they did not hit the fourth down play, and I don't like – my dad was a coach, so I do not like to question coaches.
Right.
But when UK went forward on fourth down and Vandegrift threw the long pass to Anthony Brown-Stevens, who's the shortest guy on the field, with the longest throw, it means the target has got to be super small, and he still throws it in front of the chains. What are we doing?
Yep.
I mean, this ain't Boise State, Bush.
Yep.
This ain't Boise State when you watch some of these games and you think, man, this is embarrassing what kind of defense they have or don't have. And you throw the football 75% across the other way of the field to the shortest guy on the team who's got a triple coverage in a way. He's triangled in. I don't know what we're doing.
What's crazy, you look at that score. I mean, we were within 7 in the second half. I mean,
sure.
And it just fell apart.
I got to be honest with you. As soon as the fourth down play happened, I turned off the TV, came in here to my sports room, my man cave, and deloused for a minute and just kind of flushed it. And then when I saw the score an hour later, I was like, what the heck just happened? I still have not seen the last 4 minutes, 5-6 minutes of the game, whatever. I'll look at it tonight.
There's no point. Don't waste your time. It's fine. It's over.
What the heck happened? Because it's just embarrassing when you do that. And then you realize, oh, yeah, it's also homecoming for Florida. So, they end a 3-game skid or whatever it's been. Just a tough time to be a UK football Wildcat fan.
Yeah.
It is. But, I know we're at 55 minutes already, but it's awful good to be a Kentucky basketball fan right now.
It can be.
What do you think as far as were you able to go to the blue and white game?
No, I see. This is where Brian Milam drives a straight line.
Okay.
I veer here and there. But when it comes to high school football, I am in a straight line.
Okay.
I cannot get into basketball really until football is done. That's just the linear, straight thinking me. So I went and did high school football and did a few other things. but I watched the video. And even though it wasn't on TV, Lee K. Howard, one of my coworkers, he went, and I went, okay, 17 of 40, whatever, shooting from 3-point range. Okay, fine. You are going to see, in my opinion, you're going to see a more constructed, less chaotic version of what Rick Pitino brought to Kentucky in 1989 and 90. And I realize, Michael, you're pretty young. And how old were you in 1989 and 90?
I'm sorry?
How old were you in 1989 and 90?
1989, I was 3.
You young child, you.
I'm 38.
I was
man.
9.
Okay, but you could at least comprehend what was going on a little bit.
Yes.
And it was chaos. Pitino had zero talent on the team in terms of man-on-man. Derek Miller was one of the few guys who could shoot the three-pointer. You know, this was post-Rex Chapman, Pelfrey and Feldhaus, and Farmer. Very good complementary pieces, but they're not world beaters.
Right.
And what did he have to do? We had to press, shoot threes, organized chaos. And somehow that first Pitino team went 14-14 and beat LSU, which had Shaq, Chris Jackson, and Stanley Roberts, the big three that they had back then. You're going to see a more organized form of that team here, because other than Trent and Travis Perry, Trent Noah and Travis Perry, how many it was almost like watching the movie Major League when they're putting together. It's like, who's this freaking guy? I never heard of this guy. Never heard of half of these guys. Most of these guys didn't have a prime, because you're now in the past with Calipari's teams, you kind of, if you follow the recruiting, and I don't because it's a dice shoot,
Especially now with NIL.
Yeah. Who knows who that guy is? I mean, somehow Marcus Lee was a five-star basketball player. Nice guy. He was a great volleyball player. He wasn't a very good basketball player. No. And same thing with that one guard whose name I can't remember, who transferred to Texas and California and places in between. They had him as a 5-star. So I don't get off on recruiting. I get off on the team. Mark, how do you fit into this ball club? Brian, how do you fit into this ball club? You're going to see an organized version of what Pitino did early on before he got his star players, because at the end of the day, Mark Pope had to basically make a mosaic painting or a mosaic structure in 5 weeks. Broken piece here, we'll put that there. We'll figure out how it fits later on. We need that piece, boom, put him here. He had a 100-piece puzzle set with about 80 pieces.
Yeah.
And then, it's going to be fun to watch them, because there is an old school feel to this team that you're going to have great shooters. How are they going to play defensively? Well, they say they're going to be better than people think. We'll find out. And it could be a great season. It also could be a satisfying season, seeing guys work their butt off. And guess what? Oh, most of them are going to come back the next year.
Yeah.
And most of them are going to come back the next year after that. So it could work out that way.
Well, it's funny hearing him use the idea of a mosaic, because being a mountain guy, I always thought like a quilt. You take this piece of fabric.
Yeah, I got one upstairs.
and you put them together, and you get something that can end up being beautiful. And right now, it's making us feel pretty warm and fuzzy as UK fans.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You've got guys you can also relate to.
Yeah.
You've got 2 Kentucky guys from East and West that we talked about earlier. But then you also bring in kids from the West Coast. Well, who's this guy? No, don't know him. This guy's been on a Mormon mission for 2 years. How good is he going to be? And then he shows off his dunking skills on everybody. Went, oh,
yeah,
okay.
Didn't know
I'm
that.
intrigued.
I didn't know that was in the Book of Moroni and the Bible. But the guy can go. All of them can have their own parts. And I said one analogy I use with Calipari's teams. He recruited Corvettes, Lamborghinis, when they go 100 miles an hour on the highway. What do you do when you hit a pothole? Or what do you do when you need that runaway ramp? Well, you need a 4x4. You need a four-wheeler. You need some guys who can do some dirty work, some heavy lifting. Corvettes and Lamborghinis don't do that. With this ball club, you've got a little mix of everything. And I really believe with Pope, you're going to see a renaissance of what Kentucky basketball used to be in terms of fan interaction. One thing I've always said about Kentucky fans, and this is not UK, Kentucky as a whole, Louisville, Murray, Moorhead, Eastern, whatever, they want to be entertained while also winning. And if you shoot threes, one thing that will come back, Mark, you're old enough to remember when people shot threes at Rupp Arena. What did they do? If it missed. And if it didn't, that number 3 you've got behind you and the 3 that I've got right up there, you go nuts. And and then you get to set up your press. And if you didn't hit it, you still pressure defense, back tip. God forbid, what's it going to be like, boys? And I see that picture right behind you, Michael. I don't know who signed that picture behind your head.
It's Calipari.
I know, I'm kidding. You're going to see different defenses. You're going to see a zone. What? You're going to see full court press on occasion. You're going to see half court traps. You're going to mix it up. It's not going to be just man on man.
No. That's one thing and like I talked to you earlier, I think I feel like basketball knowledge I do have, and I'll toot my own horn all day with that. I feel like always with Calipari, when he would press or do whatever defense, it wasn't a press. It was just basically, I've got to act like we're doing something here. We're just going to slow the game down. And once we get across half court, then we're going to get in our man-to-man. So, just bear with us. You don't even have to make a pass. Just slowly walk it up the court. But with Pitino, it's like, hey, first pass, we're trapping. Or, hey, we're going to fake the trap, and we're going to trap actually on the reversal, and that's where we're setting it up. There's actually schematics going on when Pitino is there. Calipari's just your Corvettes, go out there and put on a show. We're going to be entertained and see what happens. But with Pitino, and I think Pope is going to kind of mimic this a lot, is hey, if it's a make shot, we're automatically pressing here to try to do this, maybe mid-trap around the corners, three-quarter trap or whatnot. Or if we miss, we're coming at it hardcore and we're trying to back tip like you were talking about a second ago. It's like everything has already planned out for them where it's on a platter to do right. With Calipari, always said it's a meal that you got to pick what you want, as far as who's going to do what this time. Okay, well, you're doing it this well, so we'll just keep this guy going. But with Pope, it's going to be this is exactly the blueprint that I want, that you're ready to go, that everyone is on that same page and ready to react. You read and react. With Calipari, it's almost, I'm this good of a talented player. I'm just going to do this no matter what the defense does to me. Oh, man, it doesn't work for me. And I about pulled off my charger there. I apologize. Sorry. I got a little spirited there a little bit. Got a passion, I guess. I better calm back down. So
you're not a robot.
One thing that I like, and I can't wait, and I'm glad you said it, because I want the threes back. I remember as a young kid watching them play played in March while I'm at school, and we rolled the TV in with the VCR and watched the game instead of doing education. We make a three, we put that sign up onto the corner. That went away. I remember seeing 9 threes against LSU one game, that fan interaction with us. It just kind of went away. Therefore, once we tried to do a D for dunks because that's what we were at. And then it's this don't even make sense. But let's get back to where the whole Rupp Arena is actually cheering instead of the spectators on the bottom and the real fans up on top. Let's all get in on this. And I think Pope is that's very, very thought out of how he's trying to bring the fans back. There we go. Thank you. I'm horrible with big words, Brian. You said something earlier when you came back in that room and did something. I had no clue what you meant, but I just shook my head. So, thesaurus.com, great website. I'll try, but yes, that's the passion that a lot of fans I think have when it comes to this Kentucky team. Is it is this basically gelled together and see what they can come up with, and they're going to fight for us, and we're ready to cheer them on. So I can't wait for Pope to get out there and see what he does. He looks like a guy that will run through a wall for you, and that's what we need.
Yeah,
I'll calm down now.
I think the biggest thing with Calipari's teams and this is what irks a lot of UK fans, in my opinion only. You have so much NBA talent, and they did not do well at the college level. Certainly, you should get better as you get older.
Mm-hmm.
From 18 to 28 is your peak as an athlete.
Yep.
You should get better. But you had so much NBA talent. And what did you do with it over the last decade? What did you do with it? That's why Pope bringing in a true system. Mm-hmm. Michael, you're a shooter. Shoot. Brian, you're a post player, which is a bad move. But you're a post player. You're going to play the post. You're going to play defense. We're going to do things. We're not just going to play NBA style and talk about generational wealth, which is great. But if we're just talking about money, now you've ticked off the entire fan base, because the common person, the common fan, and I don't care if it's football, basketball, baseball, softball, lacrosse, water polo, I don't care. We cannot understand what it's like to be that kind of an athlete. But you look at Trent Noah, hey, I called him in comparison, which some people laughed at me, but I said, break it down. He's the mountain version of Larry Bird. Did he do anything that dazzled you except shoot?
Right.
He wasn't a great rebounder. He always got the ball in his hands.
Yep.
He wasn't a great passer. That's funny. He had a lot of assists that night. He did nothing to really wow you except when he pumped Scott, like I said, for 93 points in the third quarter or whatever it was. He went nuts. But you have guys that are great parts. Mm-hmm. And then when you bring them all together, like, wow, look at this. We didn't know we had this 6 months ago, but we do now. Mm-hmm. And all you heard from Calipari's ball club was, hey, number 3 recruiting class, and he's only got 4 guys, and that's the number 1 and number 6 and number 8 and number 10. I don't care, because it puts more pressure on you to get all of these great guys. Looking at your backdrop, a lot of Final Fours, runners up. You know, you look at 93, the 93 Final Four team. Mm-hmm. Other than Mashburn, who do you put on that team that plays for other guys as a star player? 96, 97, 96, 97 are different.
Yep.
98, how many of those guys start on a national contender team? Shepard, Padgett, maybe. Nazi was a project, a 300-pound project when he got to Lexington. But then Calipari goes nuts and wins so much, and then doesn't win. A lot of pressure to put on his Italian shoulders. And then when that message rolls out, we're built for March. Was that March of next year, the year after?
No, it was go home build the house home during March, because we ain't playing.
Boys, I went to Omaha, Nebraska to cover my alma mater, Morehead State. I didn't go to Pittsburgh. I told people, I said, they're losing to Oakland. I can't watch it again. I've seen it in Indianapolis with St. Peter's. I'm not going to go do it again.
Well, what's crazy is tomorrow, I think, is the first day for the NBA season. And there's a chance that Reed possibly by the end of the year is the starter for Houston Rockets.
Right.
He's battling for a starting position for these vets and didn't start one game for us last year.
I think he started 1 or 2.
He started early. He didn't start late.
Well, he only started early because we had a few people that were hurt. But he did start. I'll back up on that. But Rob and Reed never started a game together. But
it was a year and and 3 quarters ago, he's playing Redbird. And now he's going to go up against the New York Knicks.
Yep.
Cool as that. I mean, think about it.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
He's playing OBI in the district tournament. And then he's going to go play against
LBJ, LeBron. So,
what's going on? It's a different world, man.
Listen, Brian, we're over an hour. We actually tried to keep our podcast at an hour just so we keep everyone's attention. I'm ADHD,
I wanted to try to beat Cameron Mills's record, whatever it was.
That was tough. I think I might have dozed off with Cameron a couple of times, but I went and got a snack at least one.
I mean, it's hard when you get to talking sports and you enjoy hearing people's stories. I mean, it's just fun to hear.
Yes, because man, you've got so much. I want to say personally on this real quick before we end the recording here is I want to say thank you for actually all that you did during WYMT, but I'm really thankful for that you actually had those footage and was able to put them on your YouTube channel. I have enjoyed going back and watching some of the old stuff from the K-Woods against Everett's, the Cumberlands and stuff. I don't know if you even realize that people watch that, but man, many times I've actually said, hey, look at me. That was me right there. Double O. Oh, I missed that layup, but I hustled back, got my rebound, put it back in. Yes, sir. So I appreciate you taking the time to doing that, man.
If anything positive came out of COVID, it was that for me. Because
Really?
I went back to YMT, unbeknownst to them at the time, and probably if I had not been around as long as I have been, they probably in some ways would fire me for taking YMT material or KYT and putting it on for free of charge. But at the end of the day, if I could spin this large screen around to see all of this stuff, how much of this stuff just sits on the desk? Michael, the stuff behind you, it just sits there, right? It's nice to look at, but only you get to see it, and your audience, and Mark, the great blue lights and everything, if you didn't have this podcast, only you and your closest friends would see it, right? Yep. Well, all of this video has been sitting on the shelves of WYMT for decades. It's just sitting there. So why not give it back to the people who actually performed in that video, who bled for that video, who won titles, who cried when they won, who cried when they lost. And they can also say to their kids, their relatives, even in the way social media is, 50 years from now, Kevin McElham can say, look, I caught that touchdown against Fleming Neon. And Eddie Creech can say, I threw it to him. And Coach Reynolds can say, yeah, I coached over there up on against Neon that day. Or look, here's how we beat so-and-so. And Matt Haynes had that dream about beating the 3 teams in a row before the regional tournament.
Man, you don't forget anything, do you?
Do what?
You don't forget stuff, do you?
I tell people this. You don't forget stuff you love. You don't forget people you love. You don't forget times in your life you love. From 1998 to about 2006 were professionally the best years of my life. It has become a business over the last 14 years. But my heart never left the mountains. My head had to for a while to better my situation. But my emotions, my heart, and my thoughts always drift back. Whenever I have a bad moment, I can always drift back to the Mountain Parkway, to places in between, and it takes me home. And that is my home away from home.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to hit you with the fourth quarter question now. Are you ready?
I'm ready. I've been waiting. Come on. Hour 12 minutes, 57 seconds. I've been waiting.
All right. So here we go. Favorite superhero?
Oh, my gosh. I mean, Superman only had one problem, kryptonite. Other than that, and who has kryptonite in their back pocket? Nobody.
Okay. So favorite food?
Yes.
All favorite. Okay. I got you.
I have a peanut allergy.
Ooh, I'm sorry.
Anything other than peanuts and peanut butter and peanut-based, like Oriental food, Chinese food, whatever.
Anything that'll kill you.
I'm wide open.
Okay.
You're our kind of people then.
Yeah, definitely. Toilet paper, over or under?
Over.
Okay, good. You are human. Did you, what, I never thought about it.
I was like, okay, over. Yeah, I'm good.
Did you ever have any superstitions that you did before you went live or anything?
No. Never. You live on TV?
Yes. I'm asking you
because Sports Overtime, what you had to understand at that time, nowadays when we edit, there's a little a thumbnail. So let's just call the thumbnails all of the banners at the top of the screen here.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I hit record, it pops up a thumbnail. A thumbnail. So when there's a touchdown, I shoot the scoreboard. tells me there's a score there. If there's
Okay.
a highlight, I shoot the lights, tells me there's a highlight there.
Hey.
I will hit a color bar, which means for me, that's an important play. It may not be a highlight, but it's an important play. I wear watches. I have a lot of watches. I'm not wearing one today. But when I shoot my watch, it means watch this play later. You may need it for something. Back in the old days on tape to tape, it was you just had to go back. It took forever, but you had to know what you were doing. So you didn't have time for superstitions, because there were times I'm running out on the set. They're like on the intercom, 1 minute. Sports overtime starts in 1 minute. Oh my gosh, take the tapes. We got to get them in order. Now everything's computerized, they can just click. We're good. You had to take the tapes. My man Kevin C. Hill at YMT, he had to take the tape, load it up. Next tape. Man, you didn't have time to think. And by midnight, when midnight hit,
Applebee's, here we come.
You just like, man, I need a drink. I need to sit down. Some people smoke. They're like, I need to go out back. You're like, yeah, it was such a 42-minute adrenaline rush, and I wish I could do it again every day.
Whew. Okay, so I have this
answer. Sorry.
Very fourth quarter, very quick. There was TV timeout during that one. It's okay. As a kid, did you have any dreams of anything else other than going down broadcast or sportscasting here?
Oh yeah, it was just to play baseball. My dad put on his 1968 yearbook, dreams to play baseball every day for the rest of my life. I wanted to do anything with baseball that I could, and you can see a lot of the baseball stuff behind me. It's just the greatest game of all time. And
earlier, the only bad thing about him, he said he was a St. Louis Cardinals fan, but it's okay. Wow, he leaves. He just says, "I'm out. Forget this."
Sorry, boys. Yeah, it's all right, fellas. More World Series titles than any team other than the New York Yankees. Sorry, I'm just going to be over here. If you need me, I'll be over the show me state.
I need to
Jared is going to love him.
Yes, I need to put this on watch, so be sure to cut this out of the clip. Okay, got it.
Do that again, pal. I will have the final say. I always tell people I never throw the first punch. I will throw the last punch. And
there you go. Gotcha. All right. So, buffalo wings, boneless or bone in?
Bone in. If I'm with the guys, if I'm by myself and I don't feel like doing all kinds of crap, I'll take the boneless.
Thank you. I appreciate that, because everyone makes fun of me because I'm boneless. I'd rather just
last night. Just saying, I did it last night. B-Dubs is 3.2 miles down the Harrodsburg Road here.
Good. All right, blue cheese or ranch?
Ranch. Oh, blue cheese sucks.
Good. What was your favorite gaming system? I'm going to ask this one a little bit different.
When I was young,
I'm just asking
young in television. Go look it up for all you young kids. Look it up. But Nintendo, definitely. Sega in college. Again, Sonic 3DO. I've got it sitting there waiting to go. Playing Madden 95. Madden 95 on 3DO. And I never got into Super Nintendo that much. Wasn't all that great. Some of the newer games are too realistic for me. I want a video game to look like a video game.
Mm-hmm.
But Commodore 64 back in the day, load, 8, 1, or load star, 8, 1. Look it up. Big fan of that.
The cheat codes here, ain't we? All right. Waffles or pancakes? Waffles or pancakes?
Both. I can't, just don't tempt me. I'll eat. I have a record of my friend Sean Cook, whose mother Delcy used to cook pancakes. I ate 18 one morning. I will crush breakfast food.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Wow.
Yeah, 18.
were these miniatures or like
18.
okay? All right.
18.
Okay. How do you cut a sandwich with a knife? Do you cut it in triangles or just straight across?
Straight across. My grandmother tried triangles, and I thought, I'm not at Applebee's. You know, if you're going to cut it, just make one cut.
Yes, thank you. Mark makes fun of me because I'm like, this is a question. Like, it's seriously like everyone cuts it in triangles. Like, no, man. Like, I cut it straight across. Like, all right. Favorite sports movie?
Oh my God, in heaven.
And you can do some honorable mentions. I mean, there's a bunch.
Lord. I've got the stand-up, the actual movie stand-up, about 5 feet tall of Bull Durham over here to my right.
It's a great one.
I love football movies. The original Longest Yard. 1974, Burt Reynolds is the quarterback. That's a great movie. I also have a lot of baseball movies in the back. 61 Asterisk. Barry Pepper plays Roger Maris. Billy Crystal came up with that idea. Also, if you come behind here, you've got 8 Men Out, which is awesome. And all the good parts happen when they pick. The only time the good parts happen in that movie is when music is playing. Weird. Other than Hoosiers for basketball, that's awesome. Miracle, 1980 USA hockey team. When Kurt Russell, who plays Coach Brooks, goes off, they beat the Russians in the semifinals, and he doesn't know what to do. And he walks off by himself while everybody's celebrating on the ice. And he just, yes. And he just slumps in the corner by himself and cries. For me, the most moving moment of any sports movie, with the exception of Field of Dreams, Dad, you want to have a catch.
Yeah.
Lord, balling. We could go. That'd be a good sports, good little podcast for you. How many about sports movies?
Yeah, absolutely.
We talk about Happy Gilmore a lot. So
yeah, whatever. Bob Barker. Bob Barker being awesome. But
see, to me, that's not a sports movie. But I mean, they're playing sports.
They are, but more baseball movies than any other sport. Going back to Baseball on the Beach, Thomas Edison did it in 1897. It was the first quote-unquote baseball video. You learn stuff around here, kid. I go back to 19th century things.
19th century, yes. Have you ever watched Moneyball?
Oh, love Moneyball. How can you not be romantic about baseball? You kidding me?
All right.
It's a good movie. It's better than I think a lot of people gave it credit for.
It's one of those I still watch. Like, I love to watch it, but it's kind of weird because I know how it, what goes on. But I still love watching Moneyball.
Yeah, it's a very good movie. Very good movie. And the more realistic it is, the better for me. And Moneyball is about stuff that really happened.
Yeah. I really enjoy it. And a lot of people don't talk about this when I think it's draft day with the Cleveland Browns, where I think it's the owner. I can't remember who plays him, but it used to be his dad coach. And he ended up having to fire his dad because his dad was getting terminally ill, and he asked him to. And, but he had the 9th overall pick, and he made the trades to go up to the first pick, and then he went back to the 6th. I love that stuff. Just the mental part of the game. Like, I know exactly what happens, but I watch it every time. Like, man, he made an awesome move there.
Make sure you watch North Dallas 40 about the Cowboys.
Okay.
It was about the Cowboys, but it wasn't, but it was.
Okay.
Really good movie.
Awesome.
I could give you a list of older movies that you need to watch, and you'll be like, that's interesting. Didn't know that. It's based on a true story, whatever.
Right.
A lot of good stuff.
Well, listen, my 10 minutes with you on this podcast is 1 minute and 25, Brian. I thank you so much for coming on here. It's been a dream of mine to even just talk with you, just because I've always thought talking sports and doing this for a living would be amazing, but never really realized it can be a dream. And watching what you've done with WTUK, now of course with WKYT, is awesome. And thank you again for coming on the show. Really, thank you for that YouTube. I really do appreciate that, to be able to show my kids, like, look, I used to be skinny. That was me. So I really do appreciate you taking time to do that. I usually ask, where can people find you at here, to give like little shout outs to your Twitter and everything, but everyone knows they can find you on the news. Yeah. But if you want to share anything, your handles or anything, go right ahead.
I have on Twitter, it's Brian, BRIAN, at Brian WKYT. And, I'm on Instagram, but I'd separate business and pleasure. I've learned to do that as I get older. When I'm away from work, the last thing I really want to do is work. Now, right. This is different. I could do this every day.
We're just talking sports.
Yeah, we're just talking. We're not, I'm not getting paid. I mean, it is the NIL era. So, Michael, you contacted me here. So.
Uh-oh. I've got $5 in my bill phone.
He likes wings. We'll take him to Golden Flame.
There we go. Shout out Golden Flames, who has Harlan County ties.
Oh, yeah. Is that downtown?
I'm trying to think. It's
what is
I
the
stayed
place
in a hotel close to it.
What is the place downtown Harlan that I had wings? And
probably the Portal.
Maybe I was there for the Poke Salad Festival a couple years ago.
Oh yeah, it's definitely
Portal. Or the Harlan County Beer Company, probably.
I had to walk upstairs for it. It was good. It was good.
Portal.
It was good, whatever it was. And but boys, you guys can have me on any time if you just want to just chew the fat without doing this. That's fine too. And if you ever come to Lexington, you have a place to stay. So
awesome. We appreciate that. Listen, we actually thought that we were going to get media credentials to this Wednesday game. And I was like, listen, Mark, if we get to interview Brian, he said he's
going to go, boys. It's been
great. No, I was like, it'd be awesome actually, because to be able to go there and say, hey, Brian, like, thanks for coming on. But it didn't work out for us to get them. So we're going to actually try to get them for the Tuesday game. So it'd be a great opportunity for us to be able to say that we're media and be able to do that. So we're looking forward to hopefully that opportunity if it pans out for us, because we're trying to make a living doing this too.
I'll be on the floor Wednesday for the exhibition with, I guess, Kentucky Wesleyan, right? Yeah, they're Cato State. It's pretty darn good. Mm-hmm. They're pretty good.
Yes. Well, again, thank you so much for coming on here, and look forward to talking with you some more and chopping this up, man.
Absolutely. Thank you, fellas.
Thanks so much.
All right. Bye-bye.
Michael's over
there
here.
There we go. So that was our episode there, a recording with Brian. It was awesome to have him on there. Paul even says, fantastic guest, go Big Blue. Peace and love with you all. Man, just the stuff that he came up with and the knowledge he dropped. And honestly, when you hear him on WYMT or WT or WYT, whatever it is, like
WKYT, Michael.
There we go. You don't really get to hear even on them a personality or a fun side or a joking side. And Brian constantly made some very humorous comments, and it was a fun time to do that with him. Hopefully he is true about being able to come back on the show, because I think afterwards we even talked probably another 30 minutes.
20 to 30 minutes after we got
just about other things. So hopefully this summer we can get him back on here. What we talked about is maybe trying to do like a down memory lane or something, talk about some of these old schools and just kind of talk about the history and the sports, what all he got to see, some of these great players. So it was a wonderful time to be able to say that we have interviewed someone on that news level of sports news broadcasting up there. Like, to me, that's a Tom Leach for the Mountains. That's just what it is for us. What?
Well, I mean, Cameron Mills is doing the same thing with Kentucky basketball right now. It's kind of cool.
Oh, well, of course, but I grew up watching Brian do this. So that was my first moment of seeing someone. And Tom Leach is the voice. It's like a Caleb Ledford. For me, Cameron Mills is doing a great job, obviously, but we got to know him as an athlete first. So I guess that's where I'm a little different on that. But
yeah, I mean, I just like picking these guys' brains, man. Just letting people see the human side of them. Mm-hmm. Hearing the stories. I just like hearing the stories that they tell. And just, man, he's got a crazy memory remembering all these players and people in the mountains. And he really, 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 I mean, his heart is in the mountains, man.
Yes, and his heart's with the sports for the kids too, and it tells. I mean, it shows there. But listen, guys, we've been at this for an hour and 40 minutes now. We know you're tired of listening.
God bless you.
Yes, thank you. Please like and subscribe and hit that heart button if you're watching on Facebook.
And share it, guys. We want other people to jump in and enjoy this. And
yes,
tell us what you want to see, who you want to see. And we got a great guest coming on next week, Michael.
Oh, yes. Thank you. A great segue to add that up there. So, Mark, would you like to go ahead and drop that guest who will be joining us next week? Because we actually have 2 next week, but only one's going to be on our show. We're going to do another recording on that. Do you want to mention both?
Well, we do have 2 interviews coming up. One of them will be live on the show, hopefully. I've been talking with AD a little bit. I've been out there just grinding, trying to talk to ADs and talk to people. We have talked to Jasper Johnson's brother. He's gonna try to find a time to come on at some point. We're gonna have an edge rusher out of Western Hills High School. He's a 4-star. Kid's a beast. Jadeon Campbell. He's gonna be coming on the show.
He's our number 1 top recruiter right now that's committed. So
he's a beast, man. He's so I was emailing back and forth with the AD again. He said, as far as I know, he's still planning on coming on. So I sent him my cell phone number so we can get in contact with him. And, but man, I'll let you tell the next one. You go ahead.
Okay. Well, first, I don't even know if you know about this one. So actually, we have 3 lined up right now that have committed to coming on the show. This one I just kind of shot in the dark with, but we had a commit on Twitter for baseball. Young kid his name is Robert O'Mitty, if I'm saying that correctly. And I was like, wow, he committed to Kentucky. Kentucky's got this momentum with baseball. Let me just go ahead and follow him on Twitter. Instantly, he followed me back. I was like, well, that's cool. So why not? Oh, of course, this is with Catch Chat. And then I went ahead and sent him a message, blah, blah, blah. And I said, we'd love to have you on the show. And within 5 minutes, he messaged back and said, yeah, man, I'd love to come on the show. So we've penciled him in for the November 6th, but we may have to tweak some things here. But what's crazy is he's from Canada. So we're going to have somebody from Canada on our show to talk Kentucky baseball and just
Canada.
The road for the Canada A, of course. So excited about that. But this next one I think is super awesome for us. This person is new with Kentucky Blue, and he has definitely put his team on the map for national rankings already. No, it's not Mark Pope, but it's just as good as Coach Brooks with the women's basketball team. So I'm stoked about having him on. I loved his Letterman jacket for the Big Blue Madness.
That's sweet, man.
And so we're actually getting him to come on here because this is the first time that I can recall in a long time, at least, that Kentucky basketball girls have been pre-ranked or top 25 preseason ranked. So excited for
I think Ryan Howard and them.
Right. I don't know how high they were ranked, at least preseason. Of course, she went number 1 overall in the WNBA draft. So really excited about that. Ryan, if you're a fan of our show, we'd love to have you on here too. I have tweeted you numerous times. Hopefully you'll notice that one time. So Christian, thank you, man. Yeah, we actually got Coach Brooks coming on. And what I'm most amazed about is how excited I am about having him come on to our podcast is my wife knew who it was. So that's how great we're doing with podcasting when it comes to sports. Is I said, Coach Brooks is coming on. She goes, is his first name Kenny? I'm like, it is. Good job. Wow, this is great. So excited about these opportunities, guys. That's why we need you all to like, share, subscribe to all this stuff. It's not so much for money or anything like that, but it helps people say, okay, they have some credentials here. Like they've got a good following. Yeah, we can be a part of that. Because truthfully, we reached out, Mark, maybe less than probably at least a month ago, the right way through our channels of what we could come up with. And it was like, hey, you can't even touch anything with the girls basketball to even have an interview. So since we're partners with Kentucky Insider, who helped us with that, who has media credentials, gives us a little more backbone for what we're asking. And they've already reached back to us and was like, hey, give us some times and we'll get him on there for you. So, of course, Christian says he was just talking about him, talking him up to a customer at work today. So, Christian, share that person or link. Hopefully they will be tuned in and can get to know him even more because he seems like a very charismatic guy, and I think it'd be fun to pick his brain on here too. So, yeah. Sound good?
A lot lined up for you guys, yeah.
Absolutely. Hey, we're trying, guys.
Crossing our fingers we get to go to that game Tuesday and bring you some stuff.
Oh, my goodness. If we get to go to that game, guys, you will see us blasting everything on Facebook about pictures of opportunities because I'm going to take my camera I've got that I bought for my wife and we'll be taking some pictures, sharing on Bluetooth, so I can upload it hopefully. And
we'll be going by Golden Flame. Might even do a little pregame
Yes.
something from there.
Who knows? Maybe we'll have lunch with somebody at Golden Flame. Who knows? But yeah, with that being said, guys, as always, we thank you all so much. Mark, where can they find you at before we get into it?
You can find me at DJ Mark Lawson on X or Twitter. You can find me on Instagram at Big Daddy Lawson. You can find me at Twitch, Big Daddy Lawson. Trying to think where else. You can find me on Facebook at Mark Lawson.
We need a shirt like that.
I mean, heck, you can find me anywhere. I mean, just hey, I actually, believe it or not, the Third and Long podcast, I won a Harlan County Black Bear football jersey last night from streaming in, jumping into their show while I was watching the volleyball game too. I was jumping back and forth between their show.
Third and Long.
Yeah, and they Eddie came and told me this morning. He said, "Hey man, you want a football jersey?" I said, "I hope you got a big size." Yeah. He said, "I told him we'd lay out number 99 for you." I said, "I appreciate it."
Why is 99 automatically the big jersey? And of course, it's from Varsity Blues. It is what it is. Okay. Well, that sounds good. But you can find me MD Lawson00 pretty much on all social medias. Of course, to follow our channel here, YouTube at Cats Chat Pod. Also, yesterday started up our NBA podcast with my buddy CJ up in New York. That is MNC Hoops. That was a lot of fun chopping all that up. We broke down the East Coast quite a bit and went into the West Coast, but got a little late while we watched the Lakers AD look wonderful in his first game of the season. So check that out as well. We're going to be Tuesday on 9 p.m. on Tuesday evening. So with that being said, guys, after this long episode, we're so thankful that we kept the double digits constantly in this episode. Thank you all so much for that. If anything of this story that you listen to, other than I don't know very much anything of vocabularies, thesaurus,
don't hurt yourself now.
I'm not even going to go there anymore.
Thesaurus, Michael.
There we go. The three most important things in life, God, is to love God, love others, and love Kentucky sports.
God bless.